Today, we're going to look over very briefly a shift by shift of Adam Benák. And Adam Benák is a really intriguing prospect for the 2025 NHL Draft, where he got some time in the Czech Extra Liga this past season. And for a 16-year-old playing pro hockey at that age is very impressive. Also, being able to adapt to the center role at that age is very more impressive as well because of the ability to showcase different habits within skating, his defensive posture, and his ability to angle guys, not only in forecheck situations, but defensive situations. Benák has been able to be relied upon in many different situations by his coaches, which is very impressive in a pro league. So we're going to start this clip here. It's a very short clip. Benak's number 9, so we see him swinging in the ice. What I like about this to start is the positioning. The positional habits are very mature for his age and how he's able to control ice and control spacing. So Benák right away facing to the play, and his stick's already positioned in a way where he wants the puck. And then immediately he's in position to where he's able to utilize his feet and his skating posture and how he's positioning his lower body to be able to maneuver, bump this puck wide, kicks it out, and he's in a good position to retrieve this off that pass back. So on the entry, he's already in favorable middle ice, but he kicks his puck wide. So he's really effective, the really dynamic, really smaller, skilled forward who can really utilize his feet to slip through contact. So this gives him an advantage against bigger players. So again, he uses the foot speed. He's able to gain middle ice on entry, and the track back situation from the opposing team, they aren't able to catch him in time because of that foot speed element. And he's able to do a nice little saucer pass to be able to find the inside. And see, off that route here, what I really like about him is how he continues that route towards the back wall. That back wall, he stops alongside there, but he curves his route along the back wall. So he doesn't stop. He keeps his feet moving, goes fluidly around the net, and continues his momentum slightly. See the replay here. Really nice slip pass to be able to find that him on the weak side there and find that guy in space. And we'll see a little bit of defensive posture, defensive elements through that swing through, that well timed staying above the puck and the timing on staying above the puck. But how he's able to swing through, utilize that foot speed, and he's able to get cruising speed right off the hop here through neutral ice. And by getting that cruising speed element through neutral ice, he's able to, and here he's very much leaned in with his upper body. And so because of that, he's not really controlling the radius and how he can control not only his body and his upper body, but how he's controlling his head and where he's looking around. He's not able to control that as much. So he's stick handling slightly pressure here. He's trying to stick handle through layers, and it's not going to work, especially with a lack of support option. But what I really like about him is he's able to try this. He's not afraid to compete, and competitiveness, excuse me, is not just about being physical. Being competitive, in essence, is being able to consistently compete and show up when things get hard and not get knocked down too easily. And that's what I really like about Benák is when he fights through his checks, he's not going to stop easily. He's not just going to give up on the play. He's going to consistently find ways to showcase his compete in many different situations. It could be D zone, it could be O zone. And here's a really good example off of bank play. And he's swinging wide for that indirect pass coming off the wall. So swinging wide allows him to curl under this puck, and then he maneuvers. So this defenseman, you see his feet are pointed directly towards the boards. So Benák, as through that cutback, because he's able to cut back very elusively, and he's able to cut back in a way that's very efficient for himself. The cutback allows him to open up that passing seam, and thus he's able to find that space in middle ice. Really nice high danger pass. Again, we saw another high danger pass from him very recently as well, but that high danger pass was really well executed. The ability to use that cutback and find that seam. And here he's veering away from the play on that next sequence. But what I like about this is how he veers away from the play. You see the defenders are D1 and D2 are lined up in middle ice. The gaps between the two are very close. So they're matched up in a way where it favors Benák. Benak's able to gain space on entry, even though it's a wide entry and outside the dot lane entry. Benak's able to have space. The guy's trying to angle him off times. Benak's here. He's on his backhand, controlling play on his backhand because we see back pressure. through that forward track and back. So he slips that pass against the inside. He's able to use his backhand really effectively. He's really actually very effective using both his forehand and his backhand to execute. And it doesn't really matter where he's using those different passing options. He's able to utilize it in a way where it gives him leverage and he's able to slip pucks underneath defenders. So it doesn't matter if he's going against a player that's really taller than him and a defenseman that's much taller than him. He can still slip pucks through skates. He can slip pucks through sticks. He's really, really elusive in that way. And I'm actually really curious because he's going to be playing the Youngstown Phantoms next year. So it'll be interesting to see how his passing game adapts on a smaller rink. I'm so sure that he'll be able to adapt really nicely playing on small ice because the spacing element's going to benefit because he's really good at leveraging space. And in North America, he's going to be even more elusive. What I like about this here is Benák continues his route. He drifts away from the play, so you don't notice him when you're first watching the video here until you actually pinpoint him. So he drifts behind the net. He does this intentionally. So by drifting behind the net and lurking off the back post, he's able to become now a threat in this high danger ice with no one covering. So if he continued his route and he went straight across the crease and cut across the crease instead of going all the way around the net, someone might have been able to cover him. But because he has that elusive ability to understand space, now he's in a position to where the goalie has to not only match up against that angle coming off this potential shot off that near side circle, but also against Benák moving laterally. Actually, he shifts his positioning. He gets poked. What I like about this, again, it showcases his competitiveness a little bit more. He doesn't give up on pucks easily. He's not gonna give up right away. He wants to continue to compete for pucks. He's very tenacious getting the pucks first, and he will chase down pucks. Obviously loses it here, but the competitive factor in his game is really going to be a driving factor in how he produces and how he potentially generates a lot of offense in the USHL next year. Love this defensive habit, like the discipline we see in his defensive posture and the ability to line up with his feet. So he's matching up really well with his feet to this defenseman. And well, times here, he goes down early here because he anticipates a shot going through. The defenseman doesn't shoot. Ups puck, holds possession. Benák lines his feet up and his stick in a way to where he's able to shut this play down. So now it forces a lateral pass. The positional discipline and the ability to maintain that awareness there was really noticeable. I definitely believe a lot of that comes from the habits that he engages himself in as a center. He is a very slight center. I believe he's under 150 and about 5'8", 5'9", somewhere around there. So, but the fact that he's getting reps on faceoffs, the fact that he's getting reps in D zone through swinging low, being a support option, there's noticeable habits in his defensive play that will provide translatability to defensive play in the USHL. If he's getting that and those reps in the Czech Extraliga, then surely he'll get defensive time playing in the USHL next year. He could surely be a guy that plays PK very early on in the season as well. And that indirect pass was actually really smart because he understood that that forward is going to be coming towards the board, slashing across. So he makes that indirect play in a very subtle play. He's very much, this is a really good example of that deception element. Look how the defenseman uses his feet. He curls his feet. Not a good way to match up your feet against the guy who's going to clearly he's got interior ice, toe caps are pointed in, and his stick is positioned in a way, and his head are positioned in a way where he's looking to the middle of the ice. Defenseman commits, overcommits by too much. Benák is able to manipulate, use deception, use a really nice move to freeze the goalie and try to just go around. Misses the net. Unfortunately for him, he gets very frustrated himself here. But the whole sequence from him was really well executed, obviously, except for that goal. But you see the manipulation factor on that defenseman coming down the rush and then the manipulation on the goalie. So if he's able to manipulate guys at the pro level, imagine what he could do in the junior level as well. I see a little bit of LJ Mooney in him, and I know LJ Mooney is a prospect eligible for next year's draft as well. I see some similarities in the two. I see some differences in defensive habits, but I see a lot of similarity in their skill and the offensive awareness factor. I'm curious to see how Benák adapts his offensive game to the USHL. I like that swing through here. And the puck support element is really noticeable for a 16-year-old playing in the pro league. That swing through, the ability to provide a support option, and then he continues his route. To go across, this defenseman is going to commit here, and Benák continues his route, open up a passing lane, and the player, he's not afraid to shoot from the side or any angle. He has a shot too, even though he's a little bit slighter. He's not afraid to shoot, and he's not afraid to utilize it from different angles. Very much a shot threat, even though he doesn't look that way. Constantly moving without the puck, constantly being in space, constantly looking to be involved around the net. There's a tenacious ability and a tenacious appetite with him to try and get to pucks as much as he can and try to be a passing option. The track back, what I like about that, caps interior again, the habit, noticeable first, and then ability to gain middle ice. Tracking back through middle is a very important detail, especially pro coaches want to see that. It's important in junior, but especially at the pro level, it's almost consistently need to track back through middle. So a really good example there.